Hi everyone, my name is David Yop and I am one of the partners here at Flip Side, and thank you for taking a road trip to Memphis, Tennessee and Flip Side Pinball Bar. So when I was younger, I played pinball like everybody did, right? 12 years old I think I was when I discovered pinball and was really hooked on it, and I discovered it when I was bowling in a bowling league. My mom would give me money to buy like French fries or a hamburger while I was at bowling league on a Saturday morning, and I took all that money and I put it in the pinball machine. So it's safe to say I was hooked from the first moment. So about 10 years ago or 12 years ago, I discovered that there was a World Pinball Championships in Pittsburgh. And I knew at that point, because I hadn't played pinball in so long, they had like 350 pinball machines. They're gonna crown a world champion. I'm like, that's gotta be cool, and it's open to anybody. So I went there, I saw my first pinball, played my first pinball in 20 years. So when I got back to Memphis, I kind of started looking to purchase a pinball machine. And that was about 9 years ago. And I've got 98 machines now, 95, 96. At first I moved into an antique mall in Millington, Tennessee, which is about 30 miles from here. I had a little space in that antique mall, and they were for play, for quarters, and I had about 20 machines in there. And then someone else that knew I did the pinball thing, Tony Westmoreland, I said, hey, if you ever find a space that would be good for a pinball bar, an arcade bar, I would like to be a part of it. And they found this space, and here we are. Pinball, as well as everything in this bar, is what I call a gravity game. So it requires gravity. So you have darts, you have pool, you have bubble hockey directly behind me, and you have pinball. They're all real world physical games, no algorithms. It's not something you can play on your phone. But pinball is a physical game with a steel ball that rolls around on a play field. There are targets to hit that score points, and then the newer machines have deeper rule sets where there are not only targets to hit but missions to complete. I probably spend on the order of 16 hours a week just maintaining what's here, and then I also restore the machines. And a restoration of an old machine, and I was telling you, pinball over my right shoulder here, was the most recent thing I restored, and that probably has about 80 or 90 hours of work in it. This machine was made in '77. I was 13 years old. So every day at the 7-Eleven, a friend of mine and I would walk to that 7-Eleven and find scrounge quarters however we could, return pop bottles or whatever. And we would get enough to play the game at least once. And we did that every day that summer, I think, in '77. But this is a picture of he and I playing pinball in 1977. So when I started collecting and restoring pinball, he said, you gotta find that machine. It was just called pinball. And so I started looking, and it took me like years to find it. It was up in Missouri. At the height of COVID, I drove up there and bought this machine. But sadly he died before I could get it restored. But I always told him, I said, Darren, I'm gonna get it restored, and I'm gonna get it, I'm gonna put it out where people could play it. So I just made the plaque for me and him. First of all, the competitive scene throughout the world now has exploded. So you've got about 90,000 world-ranked players. We have players here in this bar that are ranked in the top 300 in the world out of 90,000 ranked players. The competitive side is a lot of fun. We do it every Tuesday night. When I first started doing the competitive thing, we were having 8 to 12, 14, 16 people show up. Every week, it's between 40 and 50 people now. You can also check out our Tuesday night tournaments on Twitch. The URL is twitch.tv/FlipSideMemphis. We go live every Tuesday at 7:30. We have 50 cameras here where we cover all the action. So you will kind of see how a tournament runs and the different formats that we use for the tournaments. When I first started doing this, even back in the antique mall, the one thing that about pinball is it's not very much of a spectator sport. People were standing on chairs to try to see the action. I'm like, gotta be a better way, right? So I just bought cheap security cameras and I mounted them over the machines, and I made what I call a gallery monitor. So you can watch from, you don't have to get up from your chair. Like you can have your drink and you can just watch somebody. So yeah, we have gallery monitors over every pinball machine. And that way you don't have to look over someone's shoulder. So yeah, and anybody that's interested in visiting us, you can find us on Facebook or just by looking up Flip Side Memphis, or flipsidememphis.com if you want to look us up on the web. Thank you for coming to Memphis and visiting us. We appreciate you making the trek out to Flip Side Pinball Bar.